Back, just busting it through hour one here on a Money Monday. Great to have you back. I hope you had a great weekend. I sure did. It was a wonderful weekend. I played some really awful golf, really awful. But still, it's always nice to get out on the course and, all that good stuff. Market's doing okay, up about 400 today, so it's playing nicely. And the market usually tells you if there's fear out there, and it doesn't look like the markets are fearing these spikes and increases and all this other stuff because continues to go up, which is good news for Trump. It's good news for our economy. Good news for you is every Monday, I'm joined by my good friend Fernando Uribe, who joins us today. He's also the host of Real Talk via Eyes on NJ. He's a faculty member at Bergen Community College and a great friend of mine. Hey, Fernando, how are you today, buddy?
John, great to be back here, batting leadoff on Liquid Lunch.
Yeah, we need a good leadoff man to start the week off right. You're the money guest, so we have you on Money Monday every week, and you got to check out Real Talk with Fernando Uribe also because it's Real Talk. He's right next door to us here in the Garden State. And Fernando, I know that this cancel culture has been raiding my kitchen for a month now. Aunt Jemima's gone, Uncle Ben is gone, Eskimo pies are gone, the Land O'Lakes butter Indian is gone. Today the Washington Redskins are gone. That's not in the food family. But this one had to hit home for you. They're coming after my adobo now because the Goya is under attack. And that's where I draw the line. With my adobo is not coming out of my cabinet. I don't care. What's up with this Goya thing?
Well, listen, John, first and foremost, thanks for having me back on again. And you said it best. The cancel culture is at it again. All the woke fools, all the social justice clowns need a new target. And last week, it was Goya. And for anyone that watched the news cycle, Goya CEO Robert Onunawe went to the White House, sat in the Rose Garden with the president when the president signed an executive order highlighting the Hispanic Prosperity Initiative. And for those of you who aren't aware, it's a great opportunity for Hispanics across the country when it comes to enhancing not only educational but economic opportunities throughout this community. And it's funny to me how liberals and leftists pick the most obscure targets because, during this entire pandemic, John, Goya Foods, and one of their big factories is right here in New Jersey, right in Secaucus, New Jersey, right by the train stop right on the turnpike. And they've given over 1 million cans of food during this pandemic to food banks and pantries all across the country. But, did it ever think, to occur to liberals and leftists to maybe admire Goya for that? No, they want to come down on the CEO, Robert, Onunawe, for taking some sort of affinity with President Trump. Listen, this is the same guy who went to the Rose Garden with President Obama. So he's willing to work with anybody, and he's willing to do what's best for Hispanics, which are his client base. And it's amazing to me how the cancel culture is all about Goya, and that boycott that they were attempting to enact on Goya backfired royally because Goya sales went through the roof this past weekend.
Yeah, and it's Goya oh boya. Everybody knows that old thing. I got to tell you two things. One is I'm half Italian, half Irish, but I learned how to do most of my Italian cooking from my mom. And one of the things that I do, and I'll give away a secret of mine, is I always throw a little dash of the adobo in my sauce, and sometimes I put it on my garlic bread and everything. And you can't come for my Goya goods. But in 2012, when Staten Island got hit by Hurricane Sandy, the island was ravaged. And people, my brother and I, and a bunch of others put together a grassroots effort to try to help people in the affected areas. And Goya Foods, someone, our local assemblywoman, Nicole Maliatakis, knew someone there and said, hey, we need help in Staten Island. Do you know they sent an 18-wheeler, a full 18-wheeler full of canned goods and beans and anything that could sustain people? I'm telling you, literally an 18-wheeler full of Goya pulled up, and they gave it all away for free. And, these people, they just want to cancel for like what? Because you went to the White House? It's actually horrible, and they help Goya, if you ask me.
No, John, you're right. And it's one of those things where, again, the cancel culture is so pervasive in today's political climate. But listen, for our viewers, hopefully they're aware that the CEO of both Apple and Amazon are not exactly fans of the president. But do you see conservatives on social media or in sort of cable news or conservative groups saying, let's go boycott Apple, let's go boycott Amazon? Of course not. We're not we don't get triggered about silliness like this. Let the marketplace determine what happens. And we're seeing what's going on right now. Goya is still very popular. And listen, I grew up Hispanic, and my mom is the best cook I've ever had in my life. And listen, there's nobody that beats her cooking. So we grew up with some Goya in the household. And the bottom line is to vilify Goya because the CEO chooses to meet with the president when the president signs a very important executive order. Listen, during the 8 years of Barack Obama, I never once saw Barack Obama trying to write any executive orders when it came to enhancing educational and economic opportunities for Hispanics. So for the left and liberals to now all of a sudden be triggered, it's them being their usual disingenuous self, John.
No doubt about it. Hey, Fernando, you see, I'm showing these maps earlier that the left-wing media is, talking about spikes, increase. They have three different names that all mean the same thing, right? To make it look like, oh my God, it's still going crazy, right? And if you dig down deeper, okay, into the red states that are spiking, and you go down to the municipal level where the real hotspots are, what are the cities? Like 80% of the cases here in New York were in New York City, right? And if you go into Florida, you go into Miami, you know what I mean? All these inner cities are run by Democratic mayors, okay? Almost all of them across the board. In 2018, Orkin, the National Pest Control Company, listed the top 10 rattiest cities in the world, and that meaning they have the most rat infestations. You wouldn't believe that all the cities that these blue mayors are allowing riots and looting and they're spiking are also the rattiest cities, and they're all run by Democrats. It's just absolutely crazy what these blue cities mayors are doing to our country.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder where, liberals, have this sort of selective amnesia about why blue states, and specifically to your point, blue cities, are so poorly run. I mean, John, whether it's here in New Jersey, we have cities like Trenton and Newark and Elizabeth and Camden, but across the country, it's Philadelphia, Cleveland, Detroit, Oakland, St. Louis. I mean, these are cities that have had Democrat mayors and Democrat-controlled city councils for more than 30 years, and they're absolute dumps. I mean, there's another word I could use, but this is a family-friendly program. And it's amazing to me that whenever this point is brought up, liberals in the media get triggered. Oh, that's racist. That's dog whistling. No, it's not. It's the fact that these liberal policies, John, have destroyed these cities. And I don't want to hear that, because it's urban. There are plenty of other urban areas in the country that are nowhere near the dumps, such as the aforementioned cities I just listed for you. And listen, I grew up, John, in the 90s, taking those vans to Manhattan. And I know what New York City was like pre-Rudy Giuliani, during the David Dinkins era. I know other people that have told me stories about what New York City was like. You know what? We're getting back to that with this despicable mayor, Bill de Blasio. And it's just amazing to me how there seems to be a pass that's given to every liberal mayor and every sort of blue city for how reckless and irresponsible they've been in running these cities into the ground. It's amazing to me.
So, and in the middle of New York City, they cut $1 billion, yes, $1 billion from the NYPD budget, okay? But at the same time, in the middle of a pandemic, looting, rioting, defunding of the police, Bill de Blasio took the time and effort and brought his whole entourage of his police escort and 5 Suburbans. We spent all these resources last week to paint Black Lives Matter in front of Trump Tower. If that's not political retribution and a misuse of power, I don't know what is.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder again that, Bill de Blasio, like many other liberal mayors, have let these cities destroy themselves. And now they're begging and pleading for the federal government to bail them out, just like the mayor in Minneapolis. And I'm glad that the president told him to go kick sand. You know what? You want to allow chaos and mayhem to overrun your cities, then you reap what you sow. And it's interesting, John, because, one of the things that really infuriates me about Bill de Blasio is this constant pandering that he does to his liberal base. I get it. He has to appease them and acquiesce to them. But it's, something about seeing this Black Lives Matter on the street. But folks, I can care about Black lives and issues important to the Black community, which I do. But I can also distance myself from the Marxist leanings and origins of Black Lives Matter, the movement. And it just seems, John, people are incapable of making that distinction right now, why are we glorifying a movement that has Marxist foundings? And when you look at their website, and you look at their sort of modus operandi or their manifestos, they're Marxists. I don't understand what's so difficult about calling that out. I can care about Black people and Black communities and what we need to do to improve them, but I can distance myself from Black Lives Matter, the movement, because it's toxic.
No doubt about it. I mean, they're avowed Marxists, and there's no question about it. You can hear it in their own words. They talk about it. They're proud of it. I'm proud to have you every week, my friend, and congratulations on all your burgeoning successes. And you got to check out Fernando, Real Talk, via Eyes on NJ, and you can check him out every single week right here with us. Thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
All right. You're watching Liquid Lunch. We're going to take a quick break here. We're going to come back right after this with some news of the day about a brand new Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. You're not going to believe this.